So if you've been wondering what type of sniper build you should be running in Title Update 9, well, there are a bunch of options. But this one right here seems to be the one that I feel works best with having survivability, almost 1 million armor, and still being able to one-shot almost every NPC on heroic difficulty. Yes, I said it, one-shot almost every NPC on heroic difficulty. You definitely will be one-shotting all red and purple enemies. Sometimes these gold enemies tend to survive those one shots, but more often than not, you will be one-shotting them and you will be hitting those high numbers as you guys are watching here. Just look at these enemies go down left and right, being sniped. And when I tell you this build is actually really good because you have high survivability, you don't have to run glass cannon, so you're not a walking piece of paper, right, that just gets shot and gets destroyed instantly. You actually can put out a lot of damage and you can take a couple shots because sitting at, I think it's around 917,000 armor, almost a million, you're pretty tough. So how does this build work? Well, let's dive into the full build breakdown. But before we go there, let's head to the range real quick. I'm just going to get a couple shots to give you some numbers so you guys can see. 8.5 million, 8.7 million, 8.5 million, 9,100,000, 9,300,000. And if we swap over to our nemesis, let's see what we hit for. 17 million. Let's break down this build, right? Let's break it down. We are running the sharpshooter specialization. Right off the bat, you can see that I have 913,000 armor, almost 300k health. We are running 1 exotic, 3 gear pieces, and 2 gold pieces. But let's start off with the weapons, and then we'll break down the full build right now. So for the weapons, we are running the White Death. Now this has 883,000. This marksman rifle has 15% marksman rifle damage rolls on it, 137,000 headshot damage. Now if you don't have the White Death, you can look for a classic M44. But remember that the named M44 comes with 137% headshot damage versus just 111% headshot damage you get from a regular classic M44. So that's just something you need to remember. Now it does have damage to armor on there, and this does have Optimus. Now I would like to have Ranger on there, but Optimus isn't a bad roll. Weapon damage is increased by 3% for every 10% ammo missing from the magazine. So every time you miss a shot, the damage increases. Now if you look right here, we have Ranger amplifies weapon damage by 2% for every 5 meters you are away from the target. So ideally, I would like to have Ranger. Second would be Optimus. So if you don't have Ranger, Optimus is fine. You'll see that you guys saw that I was still dropping the enemies. But preferably, I would like to have Ranger because with sniper builds, you always shoot from distance. Now, I do have the digital scope. This you can only put this on there if you're running sharpshooter. And then I have the 5% weapon damage, integrated spring, and then the laser pointer that's giving me 5% critical hit chance. I pair that up with my secondary, the Nemesis. This is for those tankier enemies. You shoot this off. If you crit, it's going to destroy them. If you don't crit, you probably will still destroy anything in its way. Now, the way we have this build set up, right? The way this full build is set up. So for the mask, we are running Aces and Eights mask, 2-piece, 15% marksman rifle damage, 3 pieces giving us 20% headshot damage. So we're running a 3-piece. Now we have weapon damage on here. I rolled headshot damage, and then the mod on here is headshot damage. That's what you guys want to go with. With a sniper build, you're aiming for the head. Whether you're on console or PC, you're definitely going to be aiming for the head with the sniper rifle. So for the chest piece, we're running the Araldi chest piece. This gives us 10% marksman rifle damage. We are running a 1-piece. Now, if you want to run a 2-piece, you can, and I'll explain that when we get to the backpack. So we have 12% weapon damage on here. I would like to get this higher. We have critical hit chance, critical hit damage, and headshot damage. I would love to get rid of that critical hit damage, or maybe even that critical hit chance, and swap it out for headshot damage roll, and then leave that headshot damage mod on there. Now the talent I'm running is focus, increase total weapon damage by 5% every second you are aiming, while scoped in with the 8-time scope or higher, up to 50% extra damage, which is crazy. So that's why running this over glass cannon is pretty good with snipers, because most of the times you are aimed in a little bit longer, and as long as you're scoped in with the sniper rifle and just popping those shots over and over and over, you will keep focus fully at 50% extra damage, which is going to be better than perfect glass cannon or glass cannon, and you don't have to take that incoming damage. That's why this build is more of, it has survivability. You're already not getting that extra incoming damage from glass cannon, and I'm running 900,000 armor. So that's just something for you guys to keep in mind. If you still want to run glass cannon, you can. For the holster, we're running our second piece of aces and eights. We have 15% weapon damage on here, and then we have 7.6% headshot damage. I would like to get one that was fully god rolled, but those are the rolls you're going for. For the knee pads, we're finally running the exotic knee pads. These got a huge buff in Title Update 9. This gives me the armor, so this gives me some more survivability. It gives me explosive resistance of 10%, and it gives me an additional 19,000 health. Check out the talent. Stand your ground, cannot be staggered by explosions, which is great. But look at this one. Increase total weapon damage by 3% every second you are not moving, which when you're sniping, you're not moving. Stacks up to 10. So that means you can have up to 30% extra damage with the sniper build because you're going to be standing still a lot. And if you watch that gameplay at the beginning, I was standing still a lot. And that's just how sniper builds work. You're always in place, so you're gaining that. Plus, you have survivability. Why I love this. Having 900k armor is great. So for the gloves, another piece of aces and eights. We have weapon damage on here and critical hit chance. So you can leave the critical hit chance, but like I said, we're going to be aiming for the head, so headshot damage is where you want to go. Now, for the backpack, you can either run a Providence backpack or you can run an Araldi backpack. Both of these will give you 10% headshot damage. The one piece Providence gives me 10% headshot damage, so if you have an Araldi or Providence, doesn't matter. Now, we do have 11% weapon damage on here. We have critical hit chance of 6%. We have 7% headshot damage. I have a mod on there for 5.6% headshot damage, so those could definitely all be improved. And we have Vigilance, increase total weapon damage by 25%. Taking damage disables his buff. Now, I really like Vigilance. Some people feel they get hit too hard, but as a sniper, you're so far back, a lot of times you don't get hit hard. So I would think you should be able to keep Vigilance up. If not, Composure, staying in cover, that'll give you 15% damage. If you're running a fixer drone, you can run Companion. There's a lot of different talents you can run here that give you around 15% weapon damage. But I personally like Vigilance, and that's what I'm going with. If you have perfect Vigilance, that's even better. Now, for the skills, I am running the Booster Hive. If you guys don't know, the Booster Hive does give you weapon damage and weapon handling. So you will hit harder, so as long as you leave it down. If you feel like you're dying a lot, maybe you want to run the Restore Hive, you guys can. But that extra damage for me is worth the risk. Now, we are running a Scanner Pulse or we run the Fixer Drone. Either two, that's what you want to go with this. The Scanner Pulse is great for sniper builds because it shows you where the enemy's at. But ideally, this is what you guys want to go with. Right here, we have 23% critical hit chance, 36% critical hit damage, 326% headshot damage. Now remember that we have 55% marksman rifle damage and almost 80% all weapon damage. Now, what you have to always remember is it's not going to show the extra damage we're getting from Vigilance. It's not going to show the extra damage we're getting from the exotic knee pads. And this build is all built around these exotic knee pads. These knee pads are a really good piece to put on a lot of builds. But the one thing you have to remember is if you move slightly, if you just move too much, it will deactivate it. So it's recharging again. So that is something that might not be beneficial to all builds. But something like a sniper build where you're usually in place for long periods of time because you're scoped in, you're going to be getting that stand your ground buff. And that's just something that you guys definitely should be using. If not, give it a shot. I had a god roll, I put it on, and I'm definitely loving it. I can't wait to get this build min-max to see the full potential of it, but it's already hitting, one-shotting almost everything. I can't wait to see how it just demolishes everything once I have it min-maxed. I'm going to keep farming for those better pieces, to get those headshot rolls, to get those better mods, and when I do, I just can't wait to see what this build does, because just to see how it destroys everything, it's already destroying everything. With the full charge with the Nemesis, it will eat through enemies with full armor. So that's not even the case. But I wanted to eat through all enemies, not with a full charge, and still have 900k armor. Because ideally, that's what I want. To be able to have survivability. Well, have some type of survivability, right? Almost a million armor is some type of survivability. Not be a glass cannon, so not running glass cannon. And just being able to melt these enemies. And just to show you what I'm talking about, not being a glass cannon, look at this point right here. I'm going to shoot this boss right here. I end up killing it, and I don't know there's any enemies behind me. I start getting shot in the back. If I would have had glass cannon here, this 100% would have killed me. But you see how I was able to get away? And that would not be possible if I was running glass cannon, because you guys know how much incoming damage you guys take, especially if I was running perfect glass cannon. So running this gives me that damage that I can still one-shot these enemies, which is crazy. But yeah, this is the build. If you guys have any questions, let me know in the comment section. This is probably one of my newest favorite builds to run. I've always liked running type of sniper builds. I was bored of the M1A, and I feel like this gives me a nice substitute as long as I'm hitting those shots. Now, it's one of those builds that you need to hit your shots, but the amount of damage you put out is there, and you can do this in solo or group play. Let me know what you guys think about the build. If you guys make any tweaks to it, let me know what tweaks you guys are making, but I think this build is pretty solid. I will be wrapping up the video here. If you have any questions, comment section down below. But until the next one, Nothing But Skills is out.